thing. We're professionals. We do
Are we?
everything. We're, you
I
know,
don't know
like
about that. Yeah.
we're professionals. We're YouTubers now. You know, people don't know that, Matt. Matt, you were just saying welcome to our first ever conference recap with a person that actually attended the show, and we're actually recording right afterwards. So that's I know that's a lot of qualifications. That's what the show's going to be. Matt, you were just saying, tell everyone now that the show's over and you've got a little time.
Hey, we're not streaming on Twitch.
Not yet, at least. What's up?
Oh,
what's going on?
I don't
We
know.
are streaming on Twitch. I hope so.
My
Is
Twitch
it not working?
My Twitch.
This is the best part. The best part of our streams when we talk about the streams. That's how a lot of people don't know. That's how you get a lot of people watching. Is you talk about the streams.
Oh, well, only if they're.
Is it not working?
I'm on it in Firefox, and it says we're offline.
Okay, hold on.
Do we have?
Please hold. Wednesday? I know we're on YouTube.
Okay.
Maybe we should just do YouTube this week. Try that out. See.
I don't know, but what if somebody wants to join and comment? Oh, look, we are on.
It would work.
Watched this on YouTube.
It still works. Hold on. Let me.
Oh God.
Let me get to the creator dashboard. Okay. Creator dashboard. Content stream manager. Hang in there. No, I think we're live. We're up. We're on.
Let me reload. Now it says live. Okay. Whatever. I'm in all the streams.
All right. Now we're on. We're on for sure. Okay, so now let me put it in our trusty. Gosh, if only we could automate this. I need to figure it out. There's got to be a way to automatically. Of course, we don't want to. When I say, I'm sure there's a way to pay, but I don't want to pay anything. I just want it to just happen.
That seems to be a recurring theme with us.
Okay. All right. Okay, now we're okay, Matt. So now we're officially streaming. You were saying your plan is this will be the streamer's delight. Okay, what is your post conference? It's like you're like a workout warrior, but now I'm gonna get the inside scoop. It's like, what's your post workout? Like what do they call it? Like when you're like your build, like your what do they call it? What do the workout people call it? It's like you gotta like your post workout meal. How do you recovery? That's what I was looking for. Okay, what's the Matt Ray? I've just spent 3 days, if not longer, at a conference, and now you're in recovery mode. Give me your me your recovery routine. What are you going to do tonight after you record this podcast? Of course.
Well, I'm probably just going to chill and get some food for my room.
Let's start there. Are you going to do room service, or you can go out?
I think. Well, so I'm.
Or are you going to do some type of order in kind of situation?
Yeah. So the hotel it's in the GM General Motors building. Right.
Ooh,
so it's got a food court, and there are like half a dozen restaurants in the building. So I'm going to see what's open and what's available. I was eyeing an Italian place. I did have Detroit style pizza while I was here.
Quick review. What do you think of Detroit style pizza?
I love it. You know what it reminds me of? Little Caesars deep dish. Which I used to love.
Like
when I was
in high
meant
school? As a dig, or is that like?
No. I really liked Little Caesars, but I haven't had it in years. And I was digging in, and I was like, this is like Little Caesars, because they have the round ones; those aren't very good. But if you get the deep dish, they get the cheese all the edges, and that's I mean, Little Caesars ingredients are not that great.
It was like the least expensive pizza in high school. You could get like 10 pizzas for $6. That's what I remember. The value, you're like, oh, let's just get 2 pizzas. Like
this is purely. I am not. This is not a dig. That
you
was
liked it. You're happy
pizza
with it.
Back when I was cheap and a kid, and because I had my choices. I could get I could go to Mr. Gatti's. I could go to Pizza Hut, Domino's. Those places are trash. Not Mr. Gatti's. Gatti's is better than the other two. But to me, my pizza of choice in high school lunch was Little Caesars. So,
right. Well, I mean,
and the Chicago style I had was, Detroit style. Brought back pleasant memories.
Isn't Detroit style and Chicago style like very similar?
Very
is
similar.
Is there like a real difference?
I think Detroit style, they go for the square pans, and so they
That's
get
what
it out
the
in the
big thing.
pan,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
and then the cheese goes all the way to the edges, so it melts down the sizes and the sides, and it's good. You know what? I might like Detroit style more than Chicago style.
I don't know. I don't prefer either one of them. I have to say. I'm just maybe I just don't like.
Because
It's
you go
just
to
so thick. I mean, it's
well,
just like
yeah, but
it's
like
just a lot.
I mean, when I don't have a lot of Chicago experience, I have like Manja's experience, and right, which is supposedly Chicago
That's even
style.
better. We're reviewing pizzas that are really emulated here in Austin. Like they're sort of like
Yes,
the fake version of these other. Because I guess that's true. I said I had Detroit pizza in Salt Lake City. So what does that mean? I don't know.
exactly, exactly.
It's like maybe it
I,
doesn't matter.
I had Detroit style pizza from what I assume was a local chain. They said, Detroit's own, and I
You're
don't
like, I
remember
don't
the
know.
brand. I'll have to go find the box or whatever, but it was really good.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody should early recommendation when you're in Detroit, eat Detroit style pizza. So
yes.
All right. Okay. You ready? You ready to start recording? For real? For real?
Sure. Yeah. Let me go top off my water. I'll be right back.
All right. Properly hydrated.
Okay.
Are you properly hydrated? You ready?
Me.
All right. Well, that's what you get when you come for the live stream. You get to see behind the scenes. So don't complain. No complaints, please. All right. Here we go. I'll get us going. Okay, well, we are a worldwide media organization, so we sent our trusty correspondent, Matt Ray, all the way from Australia to Detroit to cover KubeCon, and we're going to get into all the details of KubeCon. Matt has watched 700 sessions. He's processed every possible thing that was announced.
I was everywhere at all times.
Yeah, and you can ask him
you.
anything about Kubernetes or the CNCF, and he'll answer it correctly. So, I mean, of course, right? He's ready to go. But before we get to that, Matt, I wanted to, take a brief detour into sports. Coach's not here today, so we can talk sports. But I promise everybody that this will be very painless. If you're not,
we're not going to talk about the Lions, are we?
No. If you're not into sports, you're still going to relate. So, very short story is. The Denver Broncos are playing an American football game in London this week. Their starting quarterback, his name is Russell Wilson. He's a starting quarterback. That's all you need to know. All you need to know is quarterbacks is an important position in football. That's it. You're now an expert on, at least for this story. So it was reported that the Denver Broncos, of course, they flew, right? Not surprisingly, from Denver to London. It's an 8-hour flight. What was described was Russell Wilson is overcoming some injury. It's not relevant what it was. That it was reported, and he confirmed himself. So this is not made up. There's a press conference you got that he worked out on the plane over in the aisle for approximately 4 hours, doing stretching exercises. But the thing that I thought was the most notable is he said he did high knees. So running either in place or kind of like maybe a few yards where you're putting your knees up very, very high, usually hitting your palms. Right? Again, it's almost irrelevant what the exercise is. My question is, on your flight back to Australia, if someone did this, right, at what hour would the crowd, would the passengers be like, we have to take this into our own hands? Like it would become a Lord of the Flies situation where like people are like, we have to tie him up and actually pin him down, because the players, his teammates were as reported by him, that they were trying to sleep. Like what most people do on a long plane ride is that's really what you should do, is sleep. So I can only imagine this being an absolute nightmare on every conceivable level. So you, as someone's facing a 16-hour flight back to Australia, I just want to know what you would do and at what hour would you lead a revolt against this?
Right. So it's 16 hours and 45 minutes from Dallas to Sydney. Okay. And, I try to get the aisle because I feel the need to get up and walk around a lot. My legs get stiff. I'm not like cramped in my seat. I'm not too tall for that. But you get a little stir crazy. You start to walk around. I usually try to take, a solid sleep maybe half the time, and but it's still such a long flight. At one point, every time I fly, I just kind of like, this is my life now. I don't remember anything before or after.
Sure, you have
Right?
that question of like, what series of decisions led me to
Yeah,
be in this
every single
canister
time.
for an unbelievable
Yeah,
amount of
because
time, right?
there's nothing else you can do. You're like, so I don't do high knees. But what I like to do is they have the little dividers. So they
Yeah,
have in the middle they have the two bathrooms,
yeah,
where, and then they have like a little hall between them.
yeah.
That's
Little
kind of like
galley, the
a
galley's
little
sort of sometimes
galley,
in
and
there.
so
Uh
it's
huh.
like, it's like 3 feet across, but no one can really see you when they're in that galley.
Yep.
So what I like to do is get in the galley and do like some deep knees, some squats,
Uh huh.
and stretch my legs out, because you feel silly if you're doing it in front of like 50 or 60 people, right? So I like to get in that one private place that I actually have space, and that's where I just stretch. I'm not doing high knees. I might do high
But you
knees
are
now.
describing what I would consider normal and practical advice for traveling. I think everyone does this. Like you're on a really long international
Yeah,
flight.
yeah. I mean,
You get
you're gonna
up.
get
You
on,
even kind of look
stretch.
for like the long route to the laboratory, as they say,
Oh yeah,
laboratory. And
yeah.
it's
No,
like
I'm
maybe
making loops.
yeah, you make a
I'm
little
Yeah.
loop. You quietly walk. You try not to disturb anyone in the galley or in the where the flight
Yeah.
attendants are. Like maybe even there, you just sort of like you do a couple, deep knee bends, a couple stretches. Just, I mean, got to keep the blood flowing. No one's against that. But I'm just telling you, if someone did high knees down the aisle multiple times, I actually think for once that is a place where violence is not only acceptable, it's required. Right, where I
Uh,
would be like, we cannot have this for 4 hours. I
well,
cannot
but
have
see,
people
but
bouncing, because also the plane sort of, how it like it will kind of bounce. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like it would
I
be
don't
very
know.
unnerving.
But it's not like those guys are flying economy, right? So I'm sure on that plane, a single one of them is like a first class, lie down. They've got space. He's probably not really bothering that many people,
Oh,
because
I think you need to go to Twitter. I think it's clear that
wait.
the
His teammates
players.
are not on Twitter dragging him, are they?
I would say it seems to be very clear that
Okay.
the teammates were not on board with this, right? This
All
isn't
right.
like, hey guys, I gotta get to this injury. I'll get in the back and I'll like, make
Yeah,
sure I stay out of your way. It seems
they've
like
got a
it's
little
like,
extra cycle he can work.
yeah, and I
Well,
think there's a little bit of like, I'm the starting quarterback. This is what I got to do, and there's a little bit like this is about me, right? I'm going to tell a story about how committed I was. So I think it's crazy. And listen, I just hope on your way back, no one does high knees down the middle. Now, if you choose, though, Matt, if you choose to do the high knees yourself, please take some video of that, and I want to see how your fellow
but see,
passengers
that's the thing.
do it.
I would be discreet and hiding in that galley.
Right.
Because
Otherwise,
I'm not doing high knees in an airplane bathroom.
that would be crazy. Well, that would be great. I hope future announcements come on like they do, like, hey, there's no smoking in the bathroom, you can't do this. I hope someone comes on, it's like and there will be no high knees in the aisles while the plane is in flight. Like if that gets added to the announcement list, Russell Wilson has succeeded in something. So
He's like the shoe bomber for high knees.
it's true. All right. Well, we wish you luck on your flight home. But before you go, I thought it would be good for you and I to get on and let's, because you were there, you were the man of the
Yeah.
people, the person of KubeCon, and I thought we'd kind of do a quick recap. What were the highlights? What were the lowlights? What does everyone need to know? So let's start with kind of the simplest thing here. Just, I think we've done a bunch of conferences. Conferences have been back for a while, but what was the overall vibe? It's sort of like this is one of the bigger post-pandemic conferences. I don't even know if post-pandemic's really the right phrase, but like, it's like, well, people are traveling again. Maybe I should say it that way. So give me a sense, like, were there masks, no masks? Did it feel like pre-pandemic? What were the changes? Give me your view of the vibe.
So masks were required, and they had some fairly militant conference workers who were yelling at people, "Put your mask on," and they were handing them out at the door. So masks were required. I think this is fallout from KubeCon Europe, where the KubeCough was a trending hashtag. I haven't seen that much here. I've got a little sore throat from talking all week, but everyone kept their mask on, and that I appreciate that. I mean, somebody who's got to fly back and see their family. Hopefully, I don't bring anything back with me besides T-shirts.
Okay, so masks were required. What about like show floor setup? Anything unusual, or was that pretty?
I mean, the conference was 4-story. The Detroit Convention Center, the Huntington Convention Center is a huge place, but it was pretty easy to find things. Everything was well laid out. Everything ran like really well. I didn't hear any rumblings of like, oh, there were, they messed up lunch for everybody or the meals were bad. It like seemed like there was always, plenty of everything everywhere. And I didn't hear a lot of complaints, which is impressive. I
Which
mean,
is always hey man, like
yeah,
even the best conferences, there are complaints. So
yeah. I
you're
mean,
gonna get,
I probably missed what everyone was complaining about, but the booths area, I can't really complain, but it was huge. There were so many booths. Maybe there were 100 or more, maybe 150.
okay.
It reminded me of reInvent, where you like, and around this block, it's just block after block of booths, and then because it was a CNCF event, they actually had like micro booths for like 40 of the projects. So I'll be sure to make sure next KubeCon there's an open cost one, and I get to go stand by myself at my little tiny booth.
That'd be
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about just overall, like everybody's I guess we'll call it the overall mood there, where like, was it sort of like, hey, like a reunion kind of vibe? We're all back together, or was it sort of like, no, we've been traveling a while. It's just kind of back to like normal conference, mundane talk. Like what's the overall mood of the attendees?
I mean, I think everyone seemed generally, well, there was definitely the vibe of like, it's good to be back and seeing people. I didn't hear a lot of complaining about masks, and I'm happy for that again. I felt like it made me feel a lot more comfortable, being there, and everyone seemed glad to be together. A lot of catching up with lots of old friends. I mean, you know, I've been doing this for a while, so people everywhere. I got to meet half of the Cloudcast, but
Well, which half? Which half of the Cloudcast did you meet?
I, it wasn't Brian.
Oh, Aaron.
I met Aaron.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
So
Brian has said he
yes,
said in the Slack that he wondered if you were a real person. So I guess
right, exactly. So the solo IO booth was not that far from the KubeCon booth. So we ships
I
passing
like
in
how
the
you
night.
came I don't know, maybe tens of thousands of miles, and we're probably just a booth or two away, but no, didn't happen. All right, next
Well,
time,
we have met before, but
well, there's
it's been
always KubeCon EU. So
yes,
maybe
yeah. So
maybe
they
it'll
you got
happen there.
KubeCon EU in Amsterdam next year, and they announced Chicago will be hosting the next North America.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I think
Okay.
it's November sometime, late November
Mhm.
of 2023. So we can finally have the showdown, Detroit versus Chicago style pizza.
Oh, I like it. I like it already, man. Talk about like, all right, bring it, Chicago. You better step up your game. All right. Well, of course, I watched the conference from afar, which means I basically read Slack and Twitter to see what was going on. That's like,
Well, did you sign up for the streaming stuff?
did I sign up? Yes, I did sign up. Did I go to everything? No, probably not. So, but that's
Right.
why we sent you. That's
Oh, okay.
more,
Well, good.
more important. Now, I did, but I thought this was an interesting way to kind of frame it. I think there were like potentially, I want to throw out two broad ways to categorize the conference and see what you think. So on one hand, someone sort of said, hey, is this just becoming like OpenStack Big Tent 2.0, 81 sandbox projects, 37 incubating projects, where it's just like, I think broadly technology for technology's sake and everything's just exploding. So that's sort of like, let's make that one extreme. And the other extreme here would be, no, lots of stuff is happening. This is really, KubeCon is really the open source AWS reInvent. Using reInvent there is just sort of like the biggest, most popular conference in tech going, right? Where like pretty much it's impossible to go. They sell at Las Vegas, but there's lots of business happening, right? There's lots of reasons people are doing that. So if those are the two poles, if I sort of kind of throw that out there, like where do you come down? Is it like, how do you see the conference?
I mean, I definitely spent a lot of time in the OpenStack community back in the day. I think I hate to throw shade, but I mean, I think the thing that really sets it apart is there are a lot of customers. There are a lot of users of Kubernetes, And I went to a couple sessions, and when actually, because I got to go as media, I got to go to some of the analyst stuff, and there were questions about like right along those lines. And I think the best answer, because somebody was like, how is an enterprise supposed to make sense of 100 some projects? How are they doing that? And when the gentleman on stage said, it's not up to us to solve that. We're here to make sure that there is a healthy open source ecosystem, and somebody, probably a vendor, will be happy to put those things together for an enterprise in a consumable format. So you got your OpenShifts, you got your Tanzus, you got a number of distros. All the cloud vendors are they are distros. It's just they're hosted. And then somebody else in the session like raised his hands like, well, I'm a customer, and this does not scare us. We don't, we want open source because we can't sit around and wait on things. We can't wait on our procurement. If we need to get access to something, if we need it today, we can start moving on it. And it'll be nice to get vendor support, but we want to move fast. And the nice thing, paraphrasing this guy's comments, was the nice thing for us is pretty much wherever we go, there's going to be somebody exploring the space related to Kubernetes and the CNCF landscape. And I mean, that's it's a double-edged sword, of course, but there's definitely a lot of customers using Kubernetes, and there are there's a lot of vendors in the space, and we're sorting it out in the open, which is the benefits of open source.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the part. I mean, it's encouraging to hear that, right? Because I think lots of people, yourself included, right? Sort of like it did seem like at some point, OpenStack, that conference sort of kind of like lost its focus, right? So what your opening comment there around like, well, there's lots of customers, and if there's lots of customers, then you're at least a lot closer to the right place. Maybe not all 37 incubating projects and 81 sandbox projects are going to be successful, but there's people and customers kind of driving the need for that kind of stuff. So that's a much better starting point than like, here's the latest project that I just start off. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's how you get out of the sandbox is you show adoption and more than one company behind it, right? So you have to get other people collaborating on it, and you have to get people using it. And so hopefully I can help move OpenCost out of the sandbox, but that's what it's all about, is getting users to actually use the software and solve real problems with it.
All right, good. All right, so good. Sounds like, all right, so then we're going to give a big thumbs up then. Good job, KubeCon. Keep the customers flowing. Don't if you ever go to a conference and you can't find any customers, you're just talking to your friends that at other vendors, probably time to go home. Probably time to just go home.
You're not going to get a lot of leads from your friends.
Yeah, not gonna your MBR, your conference readout report, not gonna be good. So good. Okay, all right. So that's good. All right. So I'm glad to hear that. Customer driven, nice. The other thing that sort of popped up a bunch, like I saw a lot of WASM, a lot of talk from different vendors, just about WASM in general. So what's your take? Was WASM all over this conference? Like, is it getting uptake? Is this top down push, or is this bottom up customer driven? What do you think?
Well, so the CNCF actually did a micro survey that came out, or they did the survey last month, and released the results right at the beginning of the conference of their WASM micro survey, and it's they don't sugarcoat it. It's kind of mixed results. There's a lot of immaturity in the space. A lot of people are waiting on a better developer experience, better runtime experience. There are a lot of new vendors in the, a lot of little companies that are trying to, monetize WASM, and good luck to them. I think we saw, funding announcements from Fermion and Cosmonic. They raised a bunch of money. I don't know, there is a disconnect in like how many people are actually using it. It sounded like, there's still a learning curve to adoption, or there's still just barriers to adoption. And so, it might still be a ways out, and that's, kind of the survey results reflected that. So there were a lot of sessions about it. There are a lot of people talking about it, but I don't think there's a lot of customer adoption yet. And
okay, so
so
still early on. So I guess,
yeah.
We should have probably said it like WebAssembly, probably the more natural way to say
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
WASM is WebAssembly. It's a way to it's you program in your language of choice. The best supported ones right now are Rust, JavaScript, and Go. And then you target compiling to WASM bytecode, which gives you bytecode kind of like back in the old Java days where you'd compile to bytecode and then the WASM virtual machine, or it's not a virtual machine, but the WASM middleware essentially runs that compiled bytecode for you, and so it's basically a microservices or almost a serverless platform with a really good security model, and it's cross-platform. So I could write my Go app and compile it to WASM, and then I can go run it on an ARM box. I can go run on x86. I can go run it on Windows. I can run it on Linux. Wherever I need to put it, I can run it on my CDN, like Fastly or whatever, because they support WASM too.
all
And
right,
so
but before so I think we kind of all, at least the initial premise of like, hey, write it, and it compiles, it runs super fast. We all get it. So the question I have, and I guess this is, I would like to kind of, hear about like what people are saying now. Are people saying like, hey, don't use containers, basically just run, just package up your WebAssembly app the right way and then run it on my WebAssembly, platform, let's just call it that. Or is this going to be just another way available to you to write it all in WASM, get it working, and then just throw it in the container and you can just run it in the container? Which solution's being discussed there?
I mean, definitely both. One of the links we had on our last show was a discussion about folks moving from serverless back to containers, and kind of the downfalls. And the exact same stuff applies to WASM. So right now it kind of exists out of your quote unquote standard CI/CD container workflow that people are used to. And so it's like it's a different way of doing things, and it's not fully integrated. And so you might have some growing pains. And so I think the same, we'll throw that in the show notes, but I think the same hesitations will be there. Great success stories around WASM, and I think it'll continue to improve. But it was just a tapping of the brakes.
Okay. All right. So I think we're going to put WASM on, or WebAssembly on, the wait and see. We're going to check in a little bit. We're going to see it's like, okay, because I think serverless is sort of like, we haven't, maybe you can kind of clue in on that. Was I talked about? I feel like serverless has faded a little bit. Like, I feel like it was sort of like, it was a big push. Like, this is the future. We all read Simon Wardley. We saw all the videos. And then it was like, whoop, wait a minute. Not going to be as easy as we thought, right? Maybe it's going to be a little bit more niche.
Or
I don't know.
maybe we're in the trough of disillusionment.
We are. We could be there. I feel like I live in the
Right,
trough of disillusionment. I'm always there, but like you could
But that's
be.
the thing. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of story. I mean, I mentioned that tweet about someone moving back to containers, but I think that's a very rare occurrence. I mean, I think people using Lambda and serverless technologies are generally pretty happy once they get there, and so there might be a slowing of adoption, but I don't think it's going to be a pullback. I think it's just the hype train, it's died down. The technology is established, and people will continue to use it. And I feel like WASM is, we'll follow those same patterns. I think
Maybe it's going up to inflated expectations, right? That's kind of what you're cautioning. It's like, okay, it's new, it's hot, everyone loves it, and then it'll ride the wave. So I think that's good. It's very sage, pragmatic punditry right there. You've nailed it, right? It's like, yeah, okay, let's just wait and see. No reason to get too excited. No reason to get too down on anything. It'll all work out. Okay,
I'm not crying about Facebook.
that's right. Okay, all right. What about kind of continuing on with some of the themes? What about we talked about the customers, but like who ultimately someone has to be making money. I know that's sort of like, I hate to break it to everyone. Like at some point, even though open source, like someone has to be making money. So was it apparent to you, like a set of vendors, consultants? Like, is it the money just being made by people adopting it for their business functions? Like some type of things. Like, was it clear to you, like who's making money?
Well, I mean, we saw the cloud earnings this week. Clearly AWS and Azure and Google are making money.
And I assume they all had some kind of presence. They were all there.
Oh yeah,
one way or the other.
They all had large booths, lots of folks there, and big parties. I think definitely the cloud vendors are making money. There were a lot of booths, and I mean, kind of in a Schadenfreude kind of way. I don't know. Oh, it's not. I'm not happy about it, but I would like to see like the Venn diagram of vendors who go from from EU to North America to EU to North America, and see like how many are new, how many aren't there, because
Like
there were
a little churn chart,
yeah, I
like
would like to see
who's in, who's
the
out.
churn rate, right? I mean,
Mhm.
because I bet that some percentage. I'm not I have no idea. 10%, 15%. Might not be at the next one, and of that those that don't make it, how many just they didn't it wasn't worth their time, or how many went out of business, because it's a lot of tiny startups, and as you walk through the literally hundreds of booths, you're like, how do these folks stay abroad, stay with their head above the water? Because I mean, it's as a vendor, it's not the cheapest conference. I heard a couple folks complain about the price, but I mean, it is a big conference, and a lot of qualified leads came through the door as a vendor. So KubeCon was happy. But I could see if I was a smaller vendor and I shelled out a lot, like it's hard to find your niche, especially if you are um, some of these esoteric technologies that they're on they're on the landscape, but they need to their customers are going to have a hard time finding them.
Well, I'm sure, through some very scientific polling I did and I mean, I read one Slack message in the SCT Slack. Someone said, I won't out them, but you could join the Slack to see it. Someone said, well, there's like 12 vendors for every conceivable project or technology. So it's like whatever's there, it's like there's like 12 versions of it. And so that's, we know, just as you were kind of talking about technology life cycles, like we know a lot of these companies will either be acquired up or like fade away, and then you just kind of need to, like, it's usually every category can really absorb like 3, maybe 5 like relatively big vendors before it just becomes too much, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
so if you're thinking about churn, I think that would be a good chart to see, like kind of the churn rate, like how many people just
Yeah,
drop out completely.
I'm sure the CN7 is not going to release that.
No, no, no. Well, I think you answered your original question. Like we talked about the cloud earnings already. It's like, yeah, even with things down, right? I mean, we're still pushing like, just AWS is $100 billion, if not more, run rate, and then Azure and Google right behind. So I think whether that's good or bad, right? A lot of this technology will ultimately find its way into some type of cloud service, right? And
Yeah,
somebody's going to make money from that,
I
whether
mean,
it be.
there was a tremendous amount of recruiting going on.
Mhm.
You
I
know,
did. I
there,
saw like the job boards. They like, I guess we could write like jobs. That was actually, I actually was excited to see that, because it feels like all we hear about is the doom and gloom and layoffs and stuff. So it was nice to
yeah.
see like some boards filled with
Oh yeah, yeah.
places to work.
I
So
mean, we did some recruiting. I talked to a lot of folks. I had people come in asking me if I was looking, and it's always just funny because, like, dude, I'm at my booth.
that's all right. That's all right. I know you can't say it, but like, yeah, we're always looking. Everyone's always looking. Don't say that out loud. I didn't say
Yeah,
that.
no,
Don't tell
I'm very
anyone.
happy.
I'm going to
Yeah,
speak for every employee everywhere. We're always, always looking, except when we're with our employers and we're not looking at all. Then we're very happy
exactly.
where we're at. So, okay. All right. Well, what about, security? Any news on security? It's always a
Yeah,
popular theme.
I mean,
Are we more secure, or do we just get more security products?
whew, I mean, there were definitely a lot of security vendors. A very popular topic is SigStore. The whole like tool chain around signing your code and releasing a software bill of materials, so the SBOMs. So I think the folks at ChainGuard, their booth, every time I walked by, I had a lot of people around it. Those are probably one of the bells of the ball. They always had a lot of folks. Were just a tremendous number of security companies there. I think kind of a funny story. There was a rumor going around that Casson, which is I think they do like secure backups. For the company owned by Veeam, their party. It was rumored that Eminem was going to be there, and so like a whole because it was
Oh, because
like
he's from Detroit, right?
he's
Yeah.
from
Okay.
Detroit, and it was
Yeah.
at the theater in the movie apparently. Where they have the big rap showdowns,
Yeah.
and so like everyone's like, oh, we got to go to the party, and then he wasn't there. An Eminem lookalike showed up for them and got booed.
Tragic.
And so now, I mean, the funny thing is, people are like, "I'm not very happy with Cass," and that honestly, that should not affect your thoughts about their software one way or another. But it was just funny that like, you got to be careful when you get people's expectations. Yeah, and I don't even know if they spread that rumor, right?
Gotta manage expectations. Well, you can see how it happens. Somebody said like there's gonna be an Eminem whatever impersonator, right? That and then somebody just hears Eminem and you're in Detroit, and the next thing you know,
or if you're their competition, you're like, I hear at their party they're gonna have Taylor Swift and Eminem are gonna do a duet, and like the whole crowd is gonna the whole conference is gonna try to get to this thing that's gonna be all over the news the next day, and of course that didn't happen. So
right now, I'm just envisioning the scene from 8 Mile where Eminem is doing the rap battle in like the basement, and then the crowd is jumping, right? And there's like, and the music is pumping, and I'm just like, wow, what would that look like at the CNCF? Probably not good.
Yeah, well,
probably be like it would be a bad scene. I think a bad scene and like just not fun to watch. But go
ahead. So that's the humor. I don't know. That was one of the funny stories.
Who was the guy that's Google Forrest? He's the one that does the piano stuff, right?
Yeah.
Listen, if he listens to the show, what we want next is a rap battle version of CNCF. If you can do some of the 81 sandbox projects and 37 incubating projects, work that into some type of rap battle, that, my friend, that will go viral. That's some TikTok gold right there.
That's like some "we didn't start the fire" kind of nonsense.
Okay. All right. And then, so that's a little bit on security. And then what about, you wrote in here in our extensive show notes, like, well, what's up with operators? What are people not caring about the operators? Like, I feel like operators always cared about. You seem to be hesitant about that. What's going on?
Well, one of the things that really kind of came up back in the OpenStack days was the fact that like code was coming out so fast that the people actually running the code had a hard time keeping up with it. I just kind of threw this in there to see, what people thought about it. And I was asking around, and for the most part, there's not as an aggressive push to run the latest versions of Kubernetes. So 1.2.5 is the most current, major release. And I don't think any of the cloud vendors or any of the major clouds are running it yet. And for example, with KubeCon's product, a couple of folks opened bugs that there's some change in 1.2.5 that started throwing a bunch of warnings, and we fixed it. But the point was, we're fixing it, but the people running this are generally not the big shops, and most people are fairly conservative about rolling things out. And because Kubernetes is such a well-established set of APIs and generally has, people kind of understand how it works now, it's not too bad for operators. I mean, it's a huge pile of code, and but more effort has been put into it. So I kind of asked around to see if there was operator discontent, and I think.
First of all, let me answer the question. Yes, there is. There's always operator discontent. So you have to that's a heavy curve you're grading on, right? So go ahead.
But I think most people are consuming it rather than running it, and so they don't see a lot of the toil.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing, though, right? I think that's what we want, right? I mean, ideally, right? This is it's the whole joke, right? It's the platform, right? People are taking care of all that stuff. So, all right. So we'll say a little less operator discontent. I'm never going to write there was no operator discontent. If you ever have a project and there's no operator discontent, it means you've turned off all the servers and nothing's happening. It's just perfect, right? Because that's the only way you would achieve it. All right. Well, those are some of the good themes. So, all right, Matt, we'll go a little hurry up here. I think we'll do kind of maybe we'll do kind of, I don't know, 5, 10, what we call lightning questions for you to take us out, to see what's going on, and to make us all feel like we experienced 3 days. You can experience it in the next 15 minutes. So we'll start with, like, every conference starts with a keynote. So give me your keynote takeaway. What was good? What was bad? What did you like?
This is something I picked up from Cote, a little pro tip for watching keynotes. They're streamed online. You can watch them from your hotel room. So, generally every morning I did the fun run, and then I'd come back and have a nice long breakfast and watch the keynotes. So that worked out really well. I'm not going to say, the keynotes, they were keynotes. It's like you pull out your, a couple of, the platinum people all get their speaking time, and it wasn't super. Those, didn't light my fire.
Those are definitely not the stars of the show. You're not
Yeah,
usually
those
there
are not the stars of the
but
show,
they
and
help pay for the reason the conference exists, so we all
you
endure.
know,
Yes.
and they gave updates about numbers and things that people are excited about, and they were keynotes.
Now,
They
what about
gave
updates about the projects? You seem like there was a little speed round of like they did give every
yeah
little project like an update on that. That sounded like it was
yeah
pretty
they
good.
actually they I like that section. I mean, I saw people like, whew, this is a bit much, but essentially, like, 40 or 50 projects got to have a slide, and they're like, in the last 6 months, this is what's been up, and so some of them tried to cram a lot into their slide, and some of them were like, hey, we put out 2 releases and all's good, need more people, um, and I think I don't remember who it was, but they said their goal was to put out the most boring releases ever, and that's appreciated.
That's
so
knowing your audience
so
right
I,
there.
I like I liked it because they spent 2 or 3 minutes on a bunch of projects. Yeah,
All right,
or
like well, that's kind of Jassy style. I think we're always
yeah,
fans of
I
that. Where
liked it.
Jassy's like, I'm going to go through the 700 new services and give
Exactly.
you 2 points about each one. And it's like, I've come to the point where I'm like, it's a lot, but I actually like it better than the customer stories. We're like, there was a problem, and then we fixed the problem, and then
Yeah.
and the product we used was great. It's like, okay, just give me the fire hose. So it's good. All right, good job on that part of it. We should recommend KubeCon. Keep doing that. Give us the fire hose of updates. All right, now moving on. So as keynote sessions, that's always an important topic at a conference. What were maybe the 2 or 3 sessions that stood out to you?
Well, because I came as media, I got to go to some of the media analyst sessions. Those were generally pretty good. They got like panel discussions. The future of Kubernetes or future cloud native, and stories from the customer and users, and those were good. That's not the general audience. So the sessions that I went to, I didn't get to go to too many because booth duty and all the other responsibilities, but I went to a Prometheus talk that it was kind of just a quick overview of what Prometheus is, what they've been up to the last year, and then and it was good. I mean, I use Prometheus day to day, so I was like, I just like to hear what's new, and but the best part was when they opened up the Q&A. Somebody raised their hand. Their first question was like, I opened issue 3077. Can you please update my bug? And in this room of like 200 or 300 people, the guy was like trying to get them to fix his issue, and that he'd opened like 2 days before or something. And it was pretty funny. But that was a good session. I went to I caught a WASM session or two, and it's they were generally hey, our heads are still down, we're going to keep going at this. Docker talked about their they've added WASM support to Docker desktop, so if you want to get playing with it, you can definitely start working on that. So that I mean, I didn't catch a whole lot. I'm hoping to catch some of them on rerun.
Watch them online, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
watch
just
them
like
online.
that's how it is. Okay, what about you said you're at the media sessions? Like you've hit on a couple of them already. Was there any like important like media topic that maybe comes up to the media but doesn't necessarily make its way to the general population? Like if you will, reveal behind the curtain. What do they tell the media?
I mean, they did a quick breakdown about CNCF financials, and if I was a reporter, because there were like real reporters
Mhm.
there who were asking questions about well, you guys said you were gonna raise this much money, and where did but it was nice to see behind the curtains on some of that, because most people don't see the amount of PR work that's happening in the background. I mean, obviously, we catch it on like Twitter and in the press releases and news that comes out, but behind the scenes, of course, there's they're pitching to analysts, they're pitching to press, they're trying to shape the narratives that they want us talk about. So that was entertaining.
All right, I like it.
And we are right. We're talking about the WASM report. We're talking about
Yeah, it worked. It worked. We talked about it, so it's like, all right, good. All right, what about, you mentioned this? So it sounds like traffic was good at the show floor. Maybe the most important thing is, did you make your lead goal? Did you guys?
Oh yeah.
Did you get the right amount of qualified leads? Or were we at the end? Were you just like, listen, here's the scanner. We gotta. Not that I've ever done this, but you ever like, we gotta get these numbers up. You just gotta get out there and start scanning.
No, our VP of sales said, I'd like to see, this many leads. And I think we were like 10 short at the end of the second to last day. So we hit it this morning, all good. We still had some t-shirts left. But it was, kudos to our event planners. We had the right amount of swag, didn't have to take too much away. We got the leads we wanted.
Great. That's awesome. Well, listen, let me tell you, preview the feedback that the VP of sales can give you. It's like, these are just not qualified people. I don't know why. I don't understand what we're doing at these shows. So no matter what happens, even if you go on to sell your company for billions of dollars, the VP of sales, that's what they always says. Like, I just don't get it. Like, what are we doing at these conferences? We should have more qualified leads. But that is more feedback. That is, no matter what conference you go to, doesn't matter.
The best thing is, we had one of the inside sales guys who qualifies leads and calls them up, and and so he was working the booth, right? And so he was like, being very diligent about filling in all the fields, because he's the one who has to eat the spreadsheet.
It's his data, right? Yeah. that talk about someone motivated, right? That's a motivated person to make sure the data is good. So, all right, good. And then best swag. Was there anything that stood out as like a great giveaway?
I mean, there were lots of
any Raspberry Pis? That would have been
there were
your
some
thing.
Raspberry Pis. The Home Depot was giving away, I think, a Raspberry Pi cluster. So not just one, but multiple.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Home Depot, big digital operations group. So they're on all these shows. They're always hiring, and did they wear the orange vest? They usually wear.
I think I saw some of that.
All right,
but
good.
But also, for those who don't know, Raspberry Pis are like sold out worldwide. So if you have one just sitting around, you could probably go on eBay and sell it for more than you paid for it.
No, you should have told me this before. No, you should have stocked up. You should have been like, I gotta go to everybody that's giving a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know a pandemic was coming. So swag wise,
a Switch, a console, an Xbox,
those were
iPhone, AirPods, anything like that. All that.
I think one of my coworkers won AirPods, so lucky her. I generally shy away from getting too much lead gen, so I didn't grab a lot of swag myself. I grabbed a KubeCon t-shirt, long sleeve women's shirt for my daughter, so she'll enjoy that. But I'm not bringing a lot of swag back, I don't think. I got some gloves because it's cold, and the fun run. So this is another one of those.
So this is like the best activity, right? You sounds like the best activity you're going to say was the run this year.
Well, I'm
you're on the healthy side.
You're
on the morning side, morning person.
I'm training for a half trail marathon, so I needed to do some running, and they organized. There's a local running group called We Run 313. The area code, and those guys were out every morning at 7 a.m. And the sun is not up at 7 a.m. And so it was for everyone outside the U.S. it was 3 degrees. For those of you inside the U.S., it was 36, 37, 38.
Man, you got to want it.
That's So I went back and I got my hoodie and my hat, but my hands were covered, and so I grabbed some gloves. Somebody had gloves as swag, so most useful swag right there.
All right. What in doubt? Sometimes the swag that people are going to want is just the stuff that's super useful that nobody else has. Gloves, pens. I mean, the boring stuff sometimes works out.
Well, as we talked about last show, my luggage didn't make it. So I had about 20 hours.
You were close to full on.
So I was about to go
jumpsuit.
And let me tell you, I could have outfitted myself completely, except for underwear. I don't think I saw any underwear.
All right. Well,
I saw sweatpants.
Let's leave that topic there. I think we're ready to move on.
I could have had gloves and sweatpants, and definitely t-shirts and hoodies.
Okay, but there's something for the sponsors to take into.
And
all right. Final question then before we wrap up here. So, just like everyone's always ready, looking for the new thing. So was there a breakout topic, a breakout company, a breakout person, like something that you're like, this is like, if we were like at a music festival, you're like, you're not going to believe it. I just saw this new person coming up and they're going to be, super big in 5 years. Anything like that on your radar?
No.
No.
I mean,
Gamble. Word is Gamble is going to be huge. Was anything like nothing?
Whew. The guys behind the Q language had a booth, which is part of the Dagger IO stuff. So they're making a company out of a config language, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a breakout thing. I found that a little interesting.
All right. Well, this is what you should do. If you were at KubeCon and you think there was a breakout thing, what you should do is you should go to softwaredefinedtalk.com and join the Slack, and then go into the Slack and the channels and to be like, okay, I was at KubeCon and this is the breakout star. And if you give us some ideas, I'll make sure to if you crowdsource this a little bit. If you saw something that was legitimately great, like don't put in there like Docker. Don't put don't put in something like, oh, you're not going to believe it. This container technology is taking off. I want something like under the radar. People are like, you didn't see it, but like this is going to be.
I probably just missed it. I missed it because
clearly Matt was running. That's what he was doing. He was out running, and he missed the early morning, the early birds of the feather meetup where like nobody even knew what was happening. There's going to be a picture in 10 years. They're going to be like, there are 3 guys, probably guys, unfortunately, or 3 people in a room, and they're like, yep, this is where this new initiative was dawned, right? So, so join the Slack. All right, Matt. Well, I have a question as we wrap up here. This was a long flight, so I don't know how. Is it further to go? I should probably know the answer to this question, but I don't. Is Sydney to Amsterdam longer than Sydney to Detroit? Like, how many hours does it take to get to Amsterdam?
Yeah, Amsterdam is going to be a long haul. I think to go to Amsterdam, I'll probably end up flying through Singapore or somewhere in the Middle East.
Like Dubai or something. So you think Dubai. That's going to be more than 16 hours? You think that'll be maybe that'd be 20?
I think it'll be more than 16 hours.
All right. Well, if all goes well for everyone listening, we're going to try to send Matt Ray even further for the next conference. Right now, I guess the potential contender will be KubeCon Amsterdam. I don't know what would be further.
House.
Maybe like Finland. I don't know. We'll have to look at the map. I may have to get the globe out. Be like maybe something in like Helsinki. Maybe that would be as far as you could literally go. But Matt has he wants to go. He wants to travel. As you heard at the beginning, 16 hours in a metal tube. You know what? He quietly does his high knees in the galley, if you will. So that's good. Me. All right, Matt. Well, listen, this is if you've enjoyed this show, we really appreciate it. And if you would like to subscribe to it, you go to softwaredefinedtalk.com. There you can subscribe to the podcast. You can join the Slack. You can also join the YouTube channel where you can watch a live stream of this, where you can kind of see Matt. Actually looks pretty fresh. Actually, you look pretty fresh. I haven't given up for 3 days. I was about to say you're kind of hunched over, not at all. And we'll say this show was sort of sponsored by our good friend Jordy, because he gave you a microphone. Like you somehow you flew whatever 20,000 miles to do a podcast and bring a mic, but Jordy stepped in, so we appreciate him hooking us up. And of course, if you would like a sticker, all you have to do is send your postal address to stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com, and I will be happy to send you a sticker anywhere in the world. And with that, we will see everyone at the next conference.
Bye-bye.
All right. I think that went well. I think that'll be a good episode. You brought the knowledge. So, and we actually did. We had some people in the Slack. Of course, Michael. Yes. Let's see what's here.
It's Michael.
Yeah. Was that you? No. Michael's there, right?
It's me and Michael.
Yeah. No. I think, are there other people? I see other users in the chat.
There were more people. They just weren't.
But they just don't talk. That's fine. I get it. That's okay. I sometimes I like to lurk too. So, so yeah, I hope there is an epic rap battle somewhere. That would be great. I do think what is it? Forrest Brazil? I don't know. Yeah. I started to be like, he is actually very musically. I mean, he's he's probably creative in general, but like, I think his music stuff is fantastic. So
yeah. Did you? I just noticed. Did you know Restream takes the Twitch stuff and posts it to YouTube?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All the chat is like, you know, all integrated.
It's cross-posted
So,
all 3 places. Or
yeah, and then of course, but the other day we had the problem. Like I'm actually in the probably like you. I'm actually in the Twitch chat, so I can be, you know, I can actually like do some moderating there. But the other day, there's some spam in the YouTube one, and was like, "There's nobody moderating." You know, you have to be in the YouTube one. It's like, I guess maybe we'll have to figure that out one day. Like maybe we should all be in each one, right? So,
I think this is the first time I've logged into the YouTube during the show.
That's great.
So
well, you know, it's only
I
the
usually
number
post
one.
on Twitch.
It's all right.
Is that
Hey,
where I
man.
should be? I
don't know. I think it's just you got to be where you want to be. Most people are in Twitch, so but maybe that will change over time. So, all right, streamers. Hopefully, you enjoyed a little Friday. I guess. Well, you're actually in the US too. I'd say it's Friday for all of us right now, at least here in the US. I hope you enjoyed a little Friday afternoon. A little happy hour. What time is it? It's kind of happy hour-ish. A little happy hour stream. And so we'll be back next week, probably around the regular time. And until then, we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.